Facing challenges and overcoming setbacks is part of doing business. Whether you have the expertise to survive them or not could mean the difference between success or failure. Welcome to We Are Women, featuring revealing conversations that provide invaluable insights into the success secrets of female masterminds. A must listen for every entrepreneurial woman. Now here's your host, Janeen Vosper.
Hi, it's Janeen Vosper here from the We Are Women podcast, and with me today I have Tara Mollel. And I met Tara recently and I went, oh my gosh, this lady has so much great information and being able to help women in business. So I thought, who better to get on the podcast other than her? So welcome, Tara.
Thank you so much. I'm honoured to be here.
Now, let me tell you a little bit about Tara. Tara is a passionate human behaviour specialist and in business, and she is a leadership coach, and she is a world-class speaker. Tara works with overwhelmed, stressed out, time poor, and frustrated business owners who want to quickly grow their business and profits by developing agile business designs that they can expand their impact, leave their legacy, while doing what they love most. I know that sounds wonderful, doesn't it? I think a whole lot of people can relate to that. Overwhelmed, stressed out, and time poor business owners. So her passion for the performing arts, education for empowerment, and experience in the private and international not-for-profit sector. So she's been doing a lot of work in that. I'm going to ask a lot more questions about that as well. And that allows her to bring a wealth of knowledge and hands-on experience to her clients. Tara has been an educator and facilitator for over 2 decades, and with an unwavering mission to inspire people to embrace their strengths, love what they do, and push themselves to their fullest potential. So again, welcome, Tara. It's just a wonderful bio, and there's so much in there that I'm going to want to expand on. So I'm so glad that you could be here this morning.
Yes, me too.
Now, just that sort of says what you do, but it doesn't really say it in your own words. So tell me in your own words how you help people and what you do.
Yeah. Well, I help people craft their 12-month roadmap to really see what they need to be focusing on to have the most impact, and when, at which point they need to be focusing on those parts. So I look at myself as a GP. That's why I call myself a business and leadership coach, because I help people really analyze, break down, and fully understand the inner workings and mechanics of their business. Then if we need some specialist help, then we use my powerful tribe and network of experts to really help them dive into that specialist problem that they need. But what I often find is business owners will come and say, well, I just need more leads, or I need to boost my social media, or I just need to do some sales calls, right? But they don't fully understand how interconnected and interrelated it is to the rest of their business. So I'll give you an example. I had a business owner come to me, like most of them, saying, I just need more leads. I need more leads coming in, and that's going to give me more profits, you know, like a very simple A equals Z kind of thing. No. So once we did a gap analysis, and I always run a full diagnostic on someone's business, it was coming to the understanding of actually where this business was at. If we did bring in more leads, which we could easily do, the rest of his business was not anywhere near the capacity to actually handle more leads. So if I had just done what he had said and we didn't run this diagnostic, then he would have been drowning and the business would have gone under. Pure and simple. So it was because we understood the whole landscape of the business, then we could see, well, what are some of the few little tweaks we can make to really start generating the profits, which is what ultimately we all want. But it doesn't actually take such a big overhaul as a lot of us think. So yes, that's what I do.
No, and that's really, it's such an important factor, isn't it? That you've got to be able to have the capacity. You've got to be able to see what your business needs, but then have to be able to address it. I remember when I worked with one of my sales reps, and he just wanted me to help him convert sales. That's all he wanted. And I said, let's have a look at what you're doing. And he didn't have any systems in place at all. And he wasn't doing any follow-up. He had plenty of people that he could have been going back and seeing without having to. He wanted paid marketing, and he didn't need to do that. He just needed to have some systems in place, figure out who he'd already seen, who he'd spoken to, who he needed to follow up, and be able to address that. And his sales increased by 30% by doing nothing other than putting systems in place and doing no marketing and no extra money invested in it at all. And it was just knowing that capacity.
It is, but you know, it really does take an outside person, because we are in our business every single day. This is why I have a coach, and I have always had a coach, because I'm in it all day, every day, and it sometimes becomes a bit of white noise, or you just think, you take things for granted. You go, well, this is just how it is, and you miss things. I mean, we all do it. Completely human nature. So we need someone else from the outside, totally blank slate, fresh perspective, to go, hang on, what's this little thing here? And just start to poke holes in what you've got, not in a bad way, but in a way that really shakes up, you know, your own perspective and shifts your paradigm. So you can start to look at your business in a very different way, so it can grow and expand. And like you said, it doesn't actually take much. It really doesn't take much. But the hardest part, I think, is one, asking for help. That seems to be a very hard part to do. And two, is actually being willing to lean into that change, right? We get so stuck in a habit. So those are the hardest parts, I think.
And particularly for women, that asking for help, it's something that we feel that we should be able to do it. And I work with a lot of women in micros and small businesses, and they've gone into them because they're great technicians. They're really good at what they do, but it's that, okay, so where do I need to go next? And as you said, getting a coach. I mean, throughout my entire career, I've had coaches or mentors along the way that I've leaned on to be able to give me the help and the assistance that I've needed as well, to be able to take my business and my learning to a whole new level, to be able to see things from a different perspective.
Absolutely. And I love that you describe them as a technician, because I know that's where I was. In my first business, I was so good. I was a dance teacher, and I was great at teaching. I was great at writing the programs. I was awesome at training and facilitating. I was an expert. And the rest of it, the rest of the business stuff, I really just made up on the spot. That was my first business. Making it up. And I was in my early 20s, so it was just me. All I had to do was look after myself. So I had all the time in the world. Not that I knew it at the time, but I had all the time in the world to make stuff up. If I didn't have systems in place, if it wasn't polished and perfect, it didn't matter. It was fine, because I had the time to kind of churn it out and work it out. And that lasted and worked for me for like the first 5 years. But I know in that last year of my business, it started as I got more clients, again, I didn't have any systems in place. So my capacity to do it, and I had staff as well, but my capacity to do all the things really, really ran out. And then I was operating at this really stressful, high functioning level. And I burnt out at the end, because I didn't know how to really build my system so it worked for me, rather than me working it. So yeah, I was definitely a technician, but I can look back now and honestly admit, I don't really think I was a business leader at that point. I was definitely a business owner, because I owned the business. I definitely wasn't a business leader. I had not sort of transcended that to make that transition there. So I think that's a really important distinction that a lot of business owners need to be aware of.
And that's a good point. I haven't heard it explained that way before, as compared to a business owner and a business leader. And I think part of that, and one of the things you touched on, is that willing to change. And that's where I think a leader stands out very much from a business owner, doesn't it? And I think during COVID, we've had so much opportunity to change or to look for different ways to do things. And coming out of it, I think they're the businesses that are going to succeed.
Absolutely. We've kind of been forced to, because we don't like change. I mean, no one likes to change. Where you get in a rhythm, you get into pattern. I'm comfy. I've got this routine. I'm doing my thing. And then someone says change, and you go, yeah, it might be a good idea, but I'm just too comfortable here. Like, why would I if I'm comfortable? Why would we change? Why would we move? Why would we do anything if we're nice and comfy? And then I think it's so fascinating that COVID comes along, and you have to. And I think that's where a lot of people's stress and anxiety has come from, because it's not like any of us chose to willingly go into isolation. Like, we had to change our businesses. It's either you change or you die off, which is what we've seen from so many businesses. And so again, because we're forced to, we haven't chosen it, and again, we don't want to. So I think that's where a lot of this tension and this freak out that I found a lot of business owners had, that's where it came from. Now, as you move through it, you notice the change in that energy. So people started to not relax into it, but started to go, oh, okay, this is where I'm at. I've had my little freak out moment. Now I have to get on with changing, looking at it differently, doing something different, right? And then we just have to keep going with it. So my biggest hope is, as we continue to come out of it, is that we continue this sort of paradigm shift, and we don't revert back into old patterns, old habits, or ways. We do come out of it with this fresh new perspective, and we're actually kind of keen to keep leaning into this space, which is very uncomfortable, but lean into this unknown, into this willingness to change if and when we need to, whenever that happens, whether it's due to a big pandemic, maybe it's due to like a small little shift, maybe different staff, maybe different client needs, whatever that is. But any sort of change, we actually lean into it and we embrace it. And that's going to keep us as business owners ahead of the curve, for sure.
Yes, I like that phrasing, lean into change, and because that's a positive movement. We're moving forward, but we don't have to jump into it. That's it feels a lot more comfortable to lean into something than it does to jump into it.
Absolutely.
Yes, and there's so much opportunity. Just and as a sales coach, I'm having people coming to me now because they realize just how important it is to get their sales conversation right, because the people that have got their business set up right, the people that have got their sales conversation right, are the ones that are going. And because it's different now, there's as a person that's always coached around relationships, it's a smooth transition, even more so into those relationships or affiliates type of space now as well. But for those that have been used to doing the old style of selling, where you sell something to somebody rather than get them to buy from you, it is a very different way to have a conversation. And so, so the people that are working with people like yourself that are getting the systems right and figuring out what they need and applying it are the ones that are going to go, okay, I'm ready to go.
I love that. And I'm so glad that there are people like you out there who are having sales conversations and helping people with sales conversations. I actually started, so I built out Business Mastery Tribe because it is a bigger community, and I want people to actually look at, how do I step up and master my business so my business doesn't master me? But just before I did this, I was doing one-on-one coaching, and it was around sales. And the amount of people who were just, the moment I said it, I was like, hey, I'm a sales coach, would run in the other direction. And they're like, okay, it was like, oh my gosh. So it was like me saying, hey, I'm a debt collector.
Yeah.
run. Absolutely run, because they're like, oh, she's going to sell me something. And you go, oh my gosh. And I always find it interesting. I would say to people, I mean, sales is the lifeblood of your business. So you can continue to ignore it. Go for it. You don't have a business though. So I find it interesting. Everyone immediately goes to marketing because that is like the pretty one. You know, that's almost like the sister, the popular one, the cool one. Everyone sort of goes to that, but that really just does the surface level stuff, and everything behind that is sales. Is sales, drawing people in, creating those relationships, nurturing, listening, empathizing, you know, and again being able to quickly pivot and adjust based on what the needs and the relationship is that you're building. So it is, I mean, it is everything else, but no one wants to know about it. And I always find it interesting that sales is the only thing that you cannot get an official qualification for. You know what I mean? You can't go to uni and learn sales. You can spend years at university learning about marketing, right? But not sales. It's so interesting to me. And you go, well, sales, I mean, again, marketing in and of itself is great, but marketing alone is not going to get you clients. It is the sales that does it. Like that is the be all and end all. But we just, I don't know, it's this weird, ridiculous negative connotation. So I think what you're doing is awesome. And it is so needed. Like I can't emphasize that enough to people. Your marketing, your branding, who cares, honestly? I'm going to have from marketing people now. Like it's important, but it's just one part of it. It is one like top of the funnel part. Everything below that is your sales.
Yeah, 100%, Tara. I had a conversation with, I work with a group, the Business Continuity Support Group, and we do continuity conversations. And so I had a conversation with Paul the other day, and he's the marketing guy, and I'm the sales person. And it was good. And we were trying to figure out, you know, what comes first, the chicken or the egg. But the alphabetically, marketing, and plus marketing does come first. And the definition that we had is marketing gets them to the door and sales takes them through it. And if you can't get them through the door, then you haven't. Yes. And that's the part, you know, when I speak at business groups, if I'm speaking about sales, one of the questions I'll ask is, who's in sales? Now, everyone knows they're in sales now. They know they're in sales, and they'll go, yeah, I'm in sales. But it's then, okay, so who prioritizes sales and just loves it and gets out every day and goes, this is what I'm doing? And it's crickets. Because of exactly that feeling. And again, if you don't, the same, you don't make a sale, you don't have a business. End of story. It doesn't matter whether you're the best massage therapist or nutritionist or anything. If you can't make a sale, you don't have a business. You may as well go and work for somebody else and get them to pay you to do that job as a technician.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. And I was having this conversation the other day with one of my clients. Has just started up his own telesales and phone sales company, because he gets on the phone. He's awesome at it, and he freaking loves it. He loves it, getting on the phone, whether it's cold calls, whether it's nurturing leads. And what's interesting is that he started out, and where kind of this inspiration for his own sort of outlet and business came from, is that he was doing a lot of telesales for digital marketing companies. So these big companies are hiring a bunch of telemarketers, not call centers for help, but telemarketers to get on the phone and start nurturing and warming their leads. And I found that so fascinating. Digital marketing company even recognizes that our staff will only get so far. And we need to make quick sales to get people flooding in through the door. We need to get on the phone to make this happen, because honestly, nothing moves a person through as the sales process faster than building that relationship. So sure, at the moment, face-to-face and in real person, we can't do, or it's been limited. But then the second best is getting on the phone, when we can hear someone, when we can see someone. It just pushes people through that know, like, trust process a heck of a lot faster than just doing, you know, Facebook ads. right?
Correct. And that's one of the things that I've been encouraging. Well, that's one of the things I did myself personally, and then I've been encouraging all my clients to do right at the beginning of COVID. Ring your clients, have a conversation with, to see how they're going. You know, it's not about selling them anything, just find out how they're coping. And now that we're coming out of it again, then give them another call and say, where are you up to? What do you need to do? But you have that relationship initially, and then, you know, knowing that you care about them as well. And that's a really important factor, is that we it's thrown around all the time, that know, like, trust, but it is what means that people will say, I trust you to be able to deliver what you say you can deliver, and I'm happy to give you money to do that. You know, that's the important factor of the trust part. Yeah. I'm doing some training next Friday with a marketing company. So I'm doing sales training with their marketing team. So, yeah, exactly the same. They were smart enough to realise that they're good at the marketing part, but it's that sales closing part that they're not good at. And the reason people feel uncomfortable is they feel it's manipulative. I know myself here this morning, I've already had one phone call come in where there's that 5-second gap, and you know that it's going to be something that somebody's trying to sell you something. So it's no wonder we put up a wall initially, and we don't feel comfortable with it. And it's just switching your response to it, and instead,
absolutely. And I always say to business owners, come back to what is the greater purpose of your business? What is the greater purpose of the product or the service, right? Because we all admit that, yes, getting money is part of it. And we get money so we can reinvest in our business, so we can reach more people and help more people. So when we remind ourselves, what is the ultimate goal of what it is that we're doing, most of us will come to the conclusion that it is to have an impact, to contribute, to help, to benefit other people. So in which case, well, if you're doing a good thing, yet you're not going out there and telling people about this amazing thing that you can offer that will help and maybe even change someone's life, you're making your business all about you then, right? Your business is other people. So then why the hell are you in business? Right? Why bother? You know, what you are doing is so much bigger than you, and you need to go out there and tell as many people as possible, so then they can make the informed choice about what they need to make their lives better, right? So I say sales isn't like convincing, it's not manipulative. It is, one, developing the relationship to really understand what people need, and then it's providing them with as much information as you can so they feel confident to make that informed choice to come to you, to use your service, to use your product, whatever it is. Right? That's what it's about. And if people decide, no, I don't need it, no, it's not for me, great, fantastic. But if you've done your job with sharing as much information as you can to help them move through that process and that decision-making process, then you've done it. You know, you've done what you need to do. But if you stop and go, oh, no, I feel pushy, or it feels icky, or I don't want to, you're denying someone the opportunity to make an informed decision, right? And then your business is about you.
Absolutely. I knew we were going to get on really well. I use the word icky when people are telling me about the sales thing as well. Like, it's icky. It's exactly what I do. And I even challenge people more when I'm running my courses. I go, how dare you? How dare you not tell me that? Because I've just gone and spent money somewhere else, and if I had known that you did that, I would have invested in you. So it's because you haven't told me, I didn't know that was available to me, or that was a better health choice than I'm doing. How dare you not tell me about it? And I usually say the phrase, you're telling, not selling. It's just tell people, and it's hopefully different experience. So tell me about the not-for-profit sector that you were working in. That really piqued my interest.
Yeah, so so after my first business, as I mentioned, I burnt out to the point where my passion for what I was doing, it just dissipated. Like I was emotionally, mentally, physically exhausted. I was wiped out, and I was 27 at the time. Right. And so I ended up selling my business, went through a little bit of a midlife crisis or early life crisis.
I was going to say midlife. That's just not midlife at 27.
Quarter life. Quarter life crisis. And sold my car, sold my business, sold everything I owned, left my partner of 6 years, and I went to wander the earth, is what I called it, to try and find my passion again, because I just felt so empty. It was crazy. So I ended up finding my way to Tanzania in East Africa, and I joined an organization initially as just a volunteer. But then I started to, and then I stayed, and I found someone to sponsor my visa, and I started speaking to these different organizations that initially I was volunteering for, because I could see that there was these women, there's two key organizations that were working with children, working in the mental health as well and well-being sort of area. And these two women of these two separate organizations, I could just see they were also like at that tipping point of burnout. But I could see that what they were doing, their organizations were revolutionary. One was looking at a mobile mental health unit that would travel to different orphanages around the country. And then the other one was actually a daycare. And at the time, we're going back 6 or 7 years now, at the time, there were no daycares. So the solution, if a mother or a family couldn't look after their child, was I'll just put them in an orphanage. So this was revolutionary. It meant that families could actually stay together. The child would be looked after. Their nutrition and their education would be taken care of during the day, while their parent or parents were able to go out and work, knowing that their child was safe. So what these women were doing was vital. And again, I knew the signs of burnout, and I thought, this can't happen. You know, they cannot run this risk. So I started to work with them, one, to restructure their business so it wasn't centered around themselves. Mm-hmm. So they had some systems in place, but that they could also start to streamline their marketing message to an international audience. So I worked very closely for the next 12 months with these ladies as a consultant. And I've got to say, bloody hell, the not-for-profit sector, anyone who works in that sector, you are a godsend, because it is tough. It is really tough. And so I started to bring my, for-profit mentality into the not-for-profit space. And it really changed things up, because again, with them, while it's not so much selling, the same thing, they're there begging. And so they've got this mentality of begging for money. And ultimately people want value for money. They want to know what they're going to get. As much as, we want to say, oh, I just give money out of the kindness of my heart. Absolutely. But that only gets you so far. That's not a great way to sustain it. So we were really looking at different ways that we could make their organizations almost self-funded and sustainable. So that was a really eye-opening challenge. One, because that was an area that I hadn't exactly been in before, but two, it made me realize as well, oh, I do know what I'm doing, which was for me as well. You go, oh, wow, that's 6 years of running a business. I did actually learn some stuff. So that was pretty cool. So that was really good. And it was just, like I said, a mind-blowing experience, because to actually be in the country, to see firsthand the impact as well was really rewarding. And like I said, the motivation then for me was to help these women, because if they burnt out, then their organizations wouldn't have lasted. Mm. And what they were doing is too important. So it's that sort of mindset that I now bring to any organization, any business that I work with now. It's that idea of what you do is too important. It is too important for you to not step up and be your best, to give your business your best, right? Because a business cannot outperform its leader.
Mm.
So it's up to us to step up to be leaders, to really nurture ourselves, fuel ourselves, do things in the best way possible so our businesses can thrive, so we can continue to impact and contribute to our target market. You know, it's too important to just not get help, right? It's just too important.
No, that just sounds fascinating what you were doing and that opportunity that you had. I've been to Tanzania and just loved what we went. It was a safari thing, and
Yes.
Zambia and Dar es Salaam, and yeah, it was just wonderful. But that was a holiday thing that was completely different than living there for 12 months and being within
Beautiful.
culture. Yeah, just
Mm.
amazing. And that burnout that you talk about, and that is a real issue with, again, I see so many people that, and it just seems that they're focused on a whole lot of different things. And I know I'm guilty of having multiple balls in the air. My brain sort of works in a bit of a filing system format, so I can shut off and not overthink stuff. So that is not it's usually not an issue for me at all to do that. If I'm just having a conversation with you or having a conversation with you, it's not, it's the way it just makes life a lot easier when you're not worried about other stuff you've got no control over. But that reduces stress as well. It's one of the practices, and the whole lot of practice. But I see so many people that are just trying to get so much done and not knowing how to detach themselves from their space and not just be a business owner, but to be a person as well, and allow that person to nurture themselves healthfully, mentally and physically.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. And it's, I mean, I see it a lot because I know it in myself as well. You know, it's doing so many things. Now, we can't always outsource everything. We don't always have the budget, or just stop doing stuff. You know, it's not about necessarily cutting back the to-do list, but it's about, one, prioritizing the to-do list, but also to set some realistic timelines. And I am so guilty of this because I have at least a trillion things on my to-do list, and they all needed to be done yesterday. And if they're not, then, oh my God. right? And you think, hey, if I actually sat down and plotted this out, you can see how mental it is. But we let it fester in our head, and I think that's an incredible skill that you have to be able to compartmentalize all of that and to shut it up. Because, right, whatever you focus on, we can only yes, women can multitask, whatever.
Oh yeah, I'm the biggest multitasker out, but that's different.
Yeah, that's it. But at each given moment, it's being fully present and focusing on that one thing and really being there for that one thing, even if it's just for a short amount of time or for a long amount of time, whatever that is. But it's really prioritizing, okay, where do I need to be and what do I need to focus on right now? Let's do that. Then the next thing, you know. So yeah, it's prioritizing, and then setting a little bit more realistic and achievable timelines and timeframes for everything.
I'm just going to reach back and show you. I've gone back to paper with this. Where is it?
Nice work.
This is, and it's so simple, and it gets everything out of your head.
Love it.
Don't you love it?
I love it. And I mean, I'm a big fan of Post-it notes. If I was sitting in my actual office right now, you'd see all the Post-it notes behind me as well. So I love it. Post-it notes, I'm very visual. So if we've got it big up on a board and you can move them around and you can go, this is there, that's there. Yeah, that is so brilliant.
I know, and I think that's what I've got to focus on. I've got the other list of want list. There's a want list on there, and it's the fullest. Yes. But it's not on the urgent or important. So the urgent and important are the things, okay, if I get to the want list well and truly, or sometimes on a want list may move up into an important list, but it's easy just to grab Post-it note off and shove it somewhere else and then make sure that you
move it. Yes. Like the things that, like you said, important as well, because sometimes we spend too much time in the urgent and just putting out fires. We're running around chasing our tail, putting out fires, not getting anywhere. So it's good that you've got the urgent. Then the important is usually the stuff that is actually going to move us forwards. And I'm going to be honest with you, I know a lot of people, and again, I'm, always pointing the finger at myself, this is me too, we can so easily try and avoid the things that we know we should be doing, those one or two key things that will actually move our business forwards, but we avoid them because it's uncomfortable, because it's scary, because we haven't done it before, because we don't know the results, and so we try and kind of busy ourselves and ignore those things that we know will actually make the biggest impact, right? So it's a bit of an avoidance as well.
And one of those things, going back to previous conversation, is pick up the phone and make a call.
100%. Yeah. Yep. That's it. Don't want to do it.
Don't want to
do it. Not posting on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of that burnout thing. And I've worked with a lot of women leaders, and is that I've got to keep moving forward. I've got to keep looking like I am busy rather than necessarily productive, but I'm busy. I've got to keep doing, because the perception is if I don't, I'm going to get caught out as an imposter. They're going to find me out if I stop. And it doesn't matter whether you're working for someone else as a leader or if you're working in your own business. It's okay, what I put out there on social media, I'm going to get discovered out and that I'm an imposter.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought this up, because these are the two key issues that I deal with all the time, burnout and imposter syndrome, and they really do go hand in hand. I actually had to deal with recently my own little imposter syndrome that popped back up. I just joined a mastermind group. It's called Business Club, and it's through Business Chicks. And so everyone's sort of chatting and presenting who they are. So there's 40 business women. Some have been in business for 15 years. Some are just starting out. Everyone's all over the shop, and everyone's in totally different industries, which is amazing. But I could feel this, it's this nervous energy. It's me kind of wanting to like slink back into the darkness again, and hide myself. I really felt that imposter syndrome coming out, going, I shouldn't be here. Someone's going to work out that I haven't earned my place here. I don't know what I'm doing. I claim to be this, or I look like this, and I don't know. So I find it so fascinating. And I think it's something that, to have the goal of, I'm going to get rid of my imposter syndrome, I think you're setting yourself up for failure already. Because imposter syndrome really is that gap between who we present as, or who we think we should be and presenting as, but then who we believe we really are. And there's the imposter, the gap, right? So it's actually not about shrinking back to fit us, maybe our small-minded perception of ourselves, but it's actually about how do we boost our perception of ourselves. So boosting our confidence, our self-esteem, actually acknowledging our achievements and feeling more solid and authentic in what we do know, and how we present ourselves. So I think it's a big challenge to do that, especially when we talk about authenticity, but that's actually what combats that imposter syndrome. And what I found, again, most recently, like I said, it still comes up, because this is a big stretch for me, being in a group of women who are further ahead than me in this business, in this round of business that I'm in. And so I was like, instead of just shrinking back, I'm actually going to rise to the challenge. I'm going to these women are going to help lift me up, pull me forwards, right? So we can keep growing together. So I'm going to lean into this uncomfortable space that I'm in. And I was very open, and I'm very honest. And I actually chose to present myself really authentically. And I said, look, this is what I do and I know my stuff, but right now I'm feeling like an imposter and I don't know. And the influx of 40 women typing on the Zoom screen with all these things saying, oh my gosh, me too, I feel the same way. Oh my God, me too, I'm so glad someone said it. And I was just blown away. So 40 other women were feeling exactly the same way that I was. It is so common.
It is. I was really amazed at how common it is, and so that's good for us to know that we aren't alone, and that's wonderful that all those people got out there and supported and validated what you were saying with their own comments as well. I presented at a leadership summit a couple of years ago in Brisbane, and I was doing a breakout session, and I had been listening to people through the lunch time, just having conversations, and this kept popping up, and these were top leaders. They were running hospitals, they were running government departments, they were significantly smart women, I suppose is the best way to put it. And when I did the breakout, that was one of the first, it was not quite on topic as to what I was going to speak about, but the first thing I went through was who had what degrees and who felt like this, and everyone in there had degrees, double degrees, masters. There was a few doctorates as well. And then my next question to them is, what do you do for you and to support you? And one person out of the 30 was able to name something that she did to support her emotionally and spiritually and physically. That was her thing. It wasn't, oh, I go and exercise purely because I have to, or it wasn't just I go to the hairdresser. It wasn't those things. It was something that she did that brought her that level of joy to do, that wasn't involved in anything through work, and it blew me away that that was so strong within these women who were, I mean, I finished school at 15 years of age, and I have learned so much. I was a GM of a multi-million-dollar business for 15 years or 20 years, with part of the build up into it. So, you gather information and you gather skills along the way. It's never bothered me that I've gone back and done other education since then, but most of it's been experience learning or learning from experts in fields rather than formal education and learning from others that have succeeded.
Yes.
And so it doesn't bother me at all that I wasn't feeling threatened by these women. I was surprised and wanted to nurture and mother them, because they were just amazing women who just, I was at a loss, because I was just so surprised about it. But it's so common. I'm glad you brought that up with yourself, Tara, in that group of women.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? And I think the more we can be honest about that, part of what true sort of confidence is that ability to be certain within yourself and to say, I don't know. I don't know the answers, but I'm willing to learn, or I'm confident in my ability to learn, to find out, to grow, to adapt. I think that's really where confidence actually lies, in that certainty.
I know, Tara, that is such an important factor, and I think that was something we could talk about forever, because we just seem so much in tune with a whole lot of things that we're saying, and I love it when you meet somebody and all of a sudden they resonate with you, and we have a lot of commonality. If you were taking 3 things away, can you tell us that? And I know you have a little helper in your room at the moment, a 3-year-old helper. If we hear some background noise, we'll know what it is, which is just wonderful. We're doing things from home, so it's just the way it is at the moment. So 3 quick takeaways that you want to make sure that people go, that right, I'll remember that.
Absolutely. So I think number 1 is looking out for signs of burnout. Are you, physically, emotionally, mentally exhausted, right? Because looking for those signs is key, and then being willing to say, actually, I need help there's got to be a better way of doing things, and look for that help. I think that's really important. So signs of burnout, ideally before you burn out, and then to ask for that help. That's really important. The second takeaway is, the end where we were talking about imposter syndrome. If you are feeling like an imposter, don't push it down. It's completely common. It's completely normal. Once again, reach out for help, because there are tools, there are strategies that you can do on a daily basis to help shift your mindset and build that self-belief. And that's going to actually make a huge difference to your business and how you approach your business as well. So that's the other one. And then lastly is, let's start looking at our business as a whole, right? What are you really narrow-mindedly focusing on? And a lot of the time it is, we spoke about being a technician, it's just doing the do, but there is more to your business. And for it to really grow, to really have the impact, you need to start mastering your business. So start getting that bigger picture view of what your business is and how it can run.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's three really good points, and particularly, which we haven't discussed in length, is that what are you focusing on, and what do you need to focus on as well in your business? And how can people get in touch with you if they want to find you and work with you?
Yeah, so look, you can find me on LinkedIn, Tara Mollel on LinkedIn, but I really do play on Facebook the most. So come join Tara's Business Tribe. It's a free Facebook group. We have lots of fun. There's lots of free trainings, and there's a lot of experts that you can connect with and collaborate with. So Tara's Business Tribe on Facebook, that is a really awesome place. Or check out my website, taramollel.com.
Okay, that's nice and easy. That's TARAMOLLEL. Nice and easy to find then, Tara. Yeah, very good. Look, thank you very much for your time today. I have so enjoyed our conversation. It was just a heap of fun, and it's just wonderful when you meet somebody who is so in tune with your thinking as well. I knew that when I heard you present. I went, that's who I want to speak to as well. And I knew you'd have so much vital information to be able to share with the listeners, which is just brilliant. So thank you, Tara.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Yeah, we could have talked for hours, right?
I agree. Absolutely agree. I love it. Thank you. So that's another episode of the We Are Women podcast, and I am Janeen Vosper, your host. You can find me at janeenvosper.com, and I will spell that out. It's JANEENVOSPER.com. It's the best way, or LinkedIn and the Speech Perfect LinkedIn group as well. We Are Women Facebook group. But what I'd love you to do too, if you've really enjoyed this, is to leave a 5-star review. That helps get more and more people interested in knowing about the podcast, and more people who have, particularly women in their own business, who have the opportunity to learn from experts such as Tara. Thank you, and I will love you to join me on the next episode. Bye for now.
So, do you feel stuck in a rut in business? Visit speechperfect.com.au and download Janeen's free ebook to avoid the 5 most common stumbling blocks women face in business. It's jam-packed full of tips to overcome the barriers that could be holding you back from the success that you dream your business will be. We would love you to leave a review of today's episode and share this podcast with other women in need of entrepreneurial inspiration. Subscribe to the next episode now and join the We Are Women community.